girls, doesn't it? I want you bright one, smart one, come on up here. And we'll educate you, all right? We'll educate you to go back there and subdue your folks even more. Who will get sucked in? How many of you have watched the television channel with all they speak is Mexican, all they speak is Spanish on the channel?
Oh, yeah.
What is the common aesthetic or the look of the majority of people on that show? They got blonde hair. Check. You might not know. I noticed this stuff. I mean, I know people think I'm crazy. You know, they're all light skinned. They all got blonde hair, and they all fit that same European type aesthetic. And them folk ain't fit more European than nothing.
You're right.
Puerto Rico, same thing. Cuba, same thing. You have light and dark, but the dark is at the bottom, even if they're in the same family.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. People say, "Oh, I'm from Puerto Rico." It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Because I bet when we go there, we're going to see the hood.
You sure right. There's a ghetto.
You're going to see the ghetto. Whatever, I'm telling you. And I know I sound pessimistic because I am. But wherever you go in this country and go to Alaska amongst the Eskimos.
Yes, sir.
You got that division there.
Surely do.
Anybody ever been to Alaska? Go to Anchorage, Alaska, on the main drag. Go all the way down to the end of that street. I forget the name of it, but it's the main drag. On the left, right there before you go off the cliff into the ocean, is a little gift shop. Tell the cute little lady in there, you want to see her exhibit on the black Eskimos. Okay? She's going to take you into a back room. It ain't in the front. In the back room. See, they didn't say even in the back room, open up, and there's this big display of jet black Eskimos. But you wouldn't know it. You got to ask for it. And it is that aesthetic that the Russian Orthodox Church uses. That's who they paint as Jesus. It's amazing. There's a lot of stuff out there. We just don't know. When you see the Orthodox pictures of Jesus, he's dark skinned, you know, and even Mary and Jesus, everybody's dark skinned. But they took the aesthetic of those Eskimos, those jet black Eskimos, who migrated to Alaska from Siberia. Yeah, as to be the image of Christ. Okay. So I hope I did, answer your question about the education. But it's on both sides. It's not just one.
Right.
That's why we can just be ourselves. Is that okay? Can we
yeah.
settle it now that we're just going to be ourselves and not try to be a whole lot of other stuff? It's very difficult to be, just be yourself. And be who you are in the scripture. That's the place where you begin and end. And the scripture will tell you who you are.
Yeah.
The word will tell you who, and if we can just stick with that, we don't have to buy into all of these things, these gimmicks. Next time we'll talk about why holidays were inserted into the slave population, what purpose the holidays serve. Okay, we're going to some more court cases, because I think the court cases are the most interesting because it brings out the technique of seduction. How do you subdue a group of people? So we'll talk about next time how black people have been subdued and how the politicians now, even if they don't want to, end up perpetuating the very thing that they say that they're there to do away with, okay? All right, well, I'll remain if you have any more questions or anything else. But yes, ma'am.
But I just want to be clear. So what happened in 1920?
As
So
far
you
as-
had to know what happened in 1920. It was on you. The reform.
Oh, yeah. I'm talking about the question that I asked.
Yeah, you had a question. No question. He said 1920. He said, but you had to know what happened in 1920.
Oh, yeah. 1921, she's referring to the massacre in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And in 1920, what happened, it was a massacre where a black man was accused of looking at a white woman. And because of that, they bombed Tulsa, Oklahoma, which was one of the most prosperous. It was known as the Black Wall Street. They had their own doctors, own things.
Yeah. Ida B. Wells wrote about that. And she also wrote about the massacre in Memphis. There was a massacre in Louisiana, which is my favorite massacre. It's called the Colfax massacre. That's my favorite one, the Cruikshank case. And the reason why that one is my favorite is because from the language you see the green light given to mobs to hunt down selected black people, the educated black person, the businessman, the preacher, the teacher, anybody who was capable of raising black people up.
Wow.
Those are the ones that hung on the tree. The gangster, the thug, the criminal, those were allowed to run free because their mischief assisted the mob.
Right. And let's say this, Doctor. When we talk about intellectual as relates to our ancestry, we're talking about their culture that they created for you. So, like you say, history repeats itself. And when we look at some of those figures that are hanging off of the tree, we have to keep in mind these were elders in the community, tribal leaders in the community. And so when the child goes to school, they should know enough about themselves to where they cannot be polluted by wrong history that the teacher is going to give them. So those are the things that we have to get back to. And what we're doing here, I think, is very relative. I hate that some missed this today, and I know some are out of town, but we're going to have to do this again. We've got to get Doc back as soon as possible to continue to educate us. So the Sermon on the Mount, verse 9, talks about the peacemakers. That word is only found in Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. There is no Hebrew word for it. The Greek word is pronounced ironosis, which means to be peaceable or to interject peace. In that particular passage of Scripture, we find an interpolation by the translators to keep those that were on the bottom of society at the bottom.
Yeah, keep them docile.
That's right. By going in, establishing certain rules, certain government, handing out certain programs, like you say, to keep them fat, feed them here a little, feed them a little there. The UN basic structure is to go in and to rebuild based off of a welfare program. So the peacekeepers in Matthew 5, and that's right.
And here again, the tribe has, and see, you know, and a government is never going to give you a religion that will encourage you to rise up against it.
That's right.
I mean, you see, it undermines what the word government means. It means to govern. So naturally, a religion is going to teach you to be docile.
That's right.
But your culture and your ways will teach you to be self-protective
Defend
and
yourself.
even preemptive.
That's right.
And what that means is, like I told my daughter, if somebody has, and my sister is good at this too, if somebody has pretty much sworn that they're going to hurt you, hit them before they hit you.
You better believe it.
I mean, if it's just, if they don't sit and wait for somebody, you see what I'm saying, to do something to you, because you don't need to be reactionary. In the scriptures, God said, you better get them before they get you. You know, and so that will supersede the Sermon on the Mount or anything like that, because those things, if you take them within a spiritual context, I can understand we need an arbiter to solve a problem that you and I are having. I understand the concept of a peacemaker. Somebody come between, bring the two groups together, discuss it, and squash it and kill it. But as far as allowing somebody to exploit you, that's not in there.
That's right.
I mean, if you look at it within a spiritual context, I don't see anywhere in there, blessed are those who get stepped on and allow folks to exploit you.
That's right.
Then you go, no, I never even looked at that like that. Yeah. But a lot of people do.
Yes, it's very ironic that we're going back and dissecting that, how it fits into the whole state system, though. You've got to have a religion that will keep people ignorant of their spirituality and their culture. Religion is used as it's a form of the government, if you will. It's an organization that is used to keep us in our place. Now, and actually, we'll do it next Sabbath, but I'm talking a little bit about that. Dr. Claude Anderson talks about in his book, Dirty Little Secrets,